Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline, and my today's guest is Dr. John Chaneka, and I'm so happy that he said yes to our interview. How are you doing today?
Wonderful, Caroline. And you, how are you?
Oh, it's a great day to have an inspiring conversation with you. I'm so inspired already, and I would love to introduce you to the audience. You are the founder of MJ Chaneka Publishing LLC and award-winning author of The Keymaker, Annie's Flutterflies, and Humor and Heart. You have over 42 years of teaching and counseling experience in public schools. You are a Fulbright Memorial Fund scholar, and you developed innovative programs like the Super Student Program and co-authored the award-winning AGS program Peer Pals. With a doctorate in education from the University of South Carolina, you have taught various colleges and universities and supervised over 50 student teachers. You are also a licensed professional counselor, third degree black belt, and active leader in Christian education and global missionary work. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast. I'm inspired already. Dr. John Chaneka. Oh, this was
Thank you.
great.
Maybe we should stop right there. I don't know. I would think so.
Stop right there. And then this
Yeah.
is our interview. No, I would like to know from you what inspired you to create the Super Student Program and Peer Pals.
Yes. It's funny how life works, Caroline. It's I compare it to running through a briar patch. If you ran through a briar patch that had all those prickers and sticky thorns and so on, you're going to get cut up. Okay, you're going to bleed, you're going to fall down, you're going to get hurt, and yet we keep running, which is good. We need to pick ourselves up and keep running. And everyone's life, even though you read a lot of nice things about me and so on, it hasn't been all uphill. It hasn't been a complete wonderful experience all the time. Life is tough. Life is overcoming obstacles and drawing strength from your faith. So, in our situation, uh, after 42 years of teaching, and my wife taught for 25, we retired. And we were doing beautifully. We built a new house. We traveled around the world. We were enjoying ourselves. We have two children and we have three grandchildren, and they live in the area where we live here in South Carolina. And so we were able to visit them and so on. But Jane's mom, who was in her 90s, was not doing well, and so she came to live with us, and that was 5 years ago. And so we brought her in, and she stayed with us. And for the past 3 years, she's been wheelchair bound, and has mental memory problems. So we are basically taking care of her 24/7 and doing all the things that have to do with that kind of care. You would think that would be a difficulty, but see, God is so wonderful in His provision that during the COVID time, Jane and I looked at each other and got thinking and talking about some of the stories that we had with our children and some of the wonderful adventures and some of the things that we had looked back on our professional career that we had created. And we said, why don't we turn it into a publishing company and start doing books? It's true, I had published the Super Student Program while I was working as an educator. And basically, it came about after my trip to Japan, where I was studying their educational system for about 6 weeks, all their elementary schools, middle, and high school, and got very interested in how they develop students. I've been to Germany also, and I'm familiar with your educational system, and I admired that. So when I came back, I wrote a program called Super Student that could be used in the elementary schools, and it did really well. It was a way for teachers to help students and teach students how to become students. And so that's how it developed and grew. And we just built on that as we've been publishing books. Part of it came out of our parenting program. I worked with parents as a Christian marriage and family counselor and also a counselor in the schools, and developed a program called A Survival Guide for Parents, Part 1, 2, and 3. Actually, these are the small books that were involved. And what I have is I've combined all these books into one book that's called Power Parenting, and that'll be coming out in the spring. So you see, even though you have difficult situations, you can make the best out of them. And so that's what we're doing, pretty much homebound because of Mom Gredlin and her care. And we are moving into this publishing area. And I'm meeting wonderful people just like you all over the world on podcasts and other ways, through the publishing. So we decided also all the profit that we make from any of these things we will give away. So we wanted to do that because God has blessed us so much.
Oh yes, I love that so much what you say, and your mission as well. So you have this publishing company and your mission, and you travel to Japan. Yes, we will talk about this later, I think. And thank you for mentioning the German education system. I've been through that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you create awareness for the people through your books about the differences and about how to improve every single day, right?
Thank you. Yeah, it's an exciting adventure. And to be able to do this, we're in our 70s. I'm 77. And we're going to be involved just as long as God allows us to be involved, to be able to contribute and do things for others, because that's really where your joy comes from, and your happiness. When you're serving others and being involved with other people, that's where the joy of life comes about. It's not with money, although money's nice. You can do lots of things. You can do lots of good things, but that's not what's going to make you happy. What is going to make you happy is knowing exactly what God's purpose for you in your life is, and being able to work with that and toward it, and seeing good things come of it. People enjoying what you're doing, people being blessed by what you're doing, people surviving because of what you're doing, and so on. There's where the joy comes in. It comes in serving, not in accumulating wealth.
Yes, that's true. I would add to that, yeah, you create the wealth within, so to say. And when you said to find out what is God's, what had He in mind for you, for your life, and when you found this and you work according to this vision, then life cannot be better, right?
It can't be. Look at your podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You're interviewing wonderful people. Like, as I said before the show, we listened to Robert White, and a very successful businessman, and he laid it out pretty well. And that is that when he starts to share with others and see them grow and be able to give and bless others and so on, that's where he got his real joy and purpose. So you're doing the same with your podcasts as you're interviewing people, and your listeners and your viewers are watching these things, and they start saying, well, gee, maybe I ought to think a little bit differently. Maybe I should change some of my beliefs. Maybe I need to be inspired and find some joy and in living and purpose in living. So yeah, this is what it's all about, Caroline. Sure
Oh,
is.
thank you so much for mentioning. I feel it. I feel your passion as well. And I can share one thing, that today is the first anniversary of my podcast, 12th of
Oh,
December when we record this. I know it will be published later, but I feel it, and I'm on the right mission to inspire the audience, and also to connect with beautiful people just like yourself. Oh, I'm
thank.
blessed by your presence. Thank you so much. It's a special day. And of course, I have another question. How
Sure.
has your martial arts background influenced your approach to education and counseling?
It's interesting you say that, because it does all work together. Um, we we started this when I was in my 30s. I always enjoyed exercise and so on, and my children actually got involved in martial arts with a minister. It was a minister of a church that in the evenings he would exercise, and he was a black belt, and he was serving God, but also wanting people to keep their bodies in good shape and good, be able to defend others and be able to just make sure that the world was a safer place. So he started training with them, and he saw I was interested, so he asked me to come along, and we trained with him for about 5 or 6 years. And then we moved to South Carolina, and we were just about ready to take our black belts. My sons and myself, they were in their teens; they were teenagers, and there was no school. There was no school down here to train or do anything. So uh, the head of the organization I was involved in said, "Why don't you start a school? Why don't you just start a school and get involved?" So I said, "Well, I don't know. I'm teaching during the day. I'm involved in schools and everything else." And they said, "Well, do it in the evenings or the weekends or however you can do." So we made time for it. We disciplined ourselves to do it, and actually, people in the neighborhood would see us working out in our backyard, and they started to come to us. They knocked on the door, and parents said, "Would you teach my child some self-defense? Would you, I want him to keep his body strong. I want him to eat well and to, keep himself physically fit and so on. I see what you're doing. Would you take him on as a student?" So we started with 2 and then 3 and then 5 and then 6 just in our backyard. And then in our rec room, which we didn't have enough money to put furniture in. And finally, my wife said, "Listen, you've got to get out of here. You've got 10 people in here. And, I'd like to put furniture in our rec room downstairs." It was a rather large rec room. And so we moved to a church that had a gymnasium. And we've got 20, 30 students, 40 students that we were working with in the evenings. This is in the evenings. And it just kept growing. Out of that 35, I had 12 black belts after 5 years. And then I needed to put them to work. So we got to a recreation program in the city. And they said, "Yeah, sure, we'd love to have you." And that grew to over 700 students. So we did that for 20 years. And yes, it influenced what a student should be and all because of the discipline and respect. That teacher student relationship is so important, not only in the martial arts, but in any kind of learning. Whether you live in Germany or Japan, the United States, or any place, that relationship between a teacher and a student is magical. It's wonderful. And a student who can take advantage of that and understand how precious that is, how wonderful that is. And obviously for a teacher to be able to give and see a student who is respectful and eager to learn, obedient and just loyal is a wonderful, wonderful feeling when you start to see them grow and change and develop into something that's healthy and strong. So yes, that all worked into the parenting program that we have called Power Parenting, and in the books that we try to develop. We've written children's books too, about 10 children's books. So yeah, it all fit together really well.
Yes, I see. Thank you so much for sharing, especially about the relationship from the teacher and the student. And we know this saying, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear or will show up. And this was you at that point, something you asked for, and you created yourself, this school. And I love what you did. Wow.
Yeah,
Thank you
it
so
was
much.
it was quite a wonderful experience, and of course, the people we met through that experience were just wonderful, lifelong friends, and hundreds and hundreds of young people who came through that program.
This is
Yeah.
exciting. Of course, I have another question for you. It is, what impact did the Fulbright Memorial Fund scholarship trip to Japan have on your professional journey, or had on your professional journey?
Right. I was really honored to do that. The Fulbright Memorial Scholarship picks 2 educators in each state. There's 50 states, so there's 100 educators who each year go to Japan free of charge. I mean, it is a roll out the red carpet kind of thing where they take care of you for about 6 weeks, and you all hotel, all meals, everything, all the experiences they have planned for you is a kind of immersion into the Japanese culture and specifically education. But they take you to businesses also, but take it to a lot of schools where you're in the classrooms talking with teachers, experiencing the learning, watching the techniques and everything that's going on educationally. And then on culturally also, because it's from 8 o'clock in the morning until 12 o'clock at night, day after day after day. Also, part of that trip is a homestay, so that you actually live for, I guess it was 5 or 6 days in a Japanese home with a family, and eat with them. They take you places, and you visit and share your culture and learn about their culture hands on. So that was a wonderful, wonderful experience, yes. And it did feed into, as all things do, all experiences, into the books we do, and the parenting and the emphasis on being a successful student, super student. Yeah, that was just one of those lifetime experiences that just never would forget. But I have spent time in Germany also, and both educational systems are wonderful and similar, very similar in many respects. Carolyn, there's about 8 things that teachers look for in the classroom, and they do in Germany, and I know they do in Japan, and in America the same, United States. And I'm just going to quickly list these 8 things and see if your listeners agree. Okay. Teachers, when they see students coming in from the kindergarten, even kindergarten, first, second grade, because a lot of my experience is in the elementary schools. Okay, I taught from kindergarten all the way to 8th grade, and my experiences as a counselor was also in the elementary schools. So I'm an elementary educator. But these are the 8 things. And when you see those kids first, they come in, they're so eager and excited. They want to learn, they are excited. And learning is natural, by the way. It's not, you don't have to make a child learn. Okay. It's something that they do, but it's just, they have to learn, they see things and they explore things, and their mind is moving like crazy. But these are things that in a educational setting that teachers all agree are really primary. And that is, number 1, I will listen, obey, and trust my teacher. Okay. Showing respect and listening and obeying and trusting your teacher is paramount. Okay. Teachers want that. They want it, they expect it, and you can't learn without it. Okay. Number 2, in a group, you should raise your hand to speak. It shows respect to the teacher. It shows respect to the other students in the class. But instead of yelling out, screaming out, feeling you are the boss of the room, that you're the most important thing alive. It's not true. To the people that are sitting there, you show respect by raising your hand and speaking. I will think along with the speaker. It doesn't matter if the teacher's speaking or another student is speaking. You're thinking along with them, just like you're doing right now for me. I see you're nodding your head. You're listening. You're ready. Okay. I will be prepared for my work. Extremely important. I will give my best. I will finish all my work. I will work out problems with others. And I will have a positive, healthy attitude. Those are the 8 things that teachers look for. All the research says this is what they prize, and this is what they're looking for in a student. If you do these things, I guarantee you're going to learn. Okay, you're going to accelerate your learning. And so that's kind of what we got into when we started to analyze just what makes a great student, whether that student's in Germany or the United States or Japan. It doesn't matter. All students have these qualities.
Yes, I understand. And thank you so much for sharing. I would say to be receptive, or we can also use the term to be coachable. This is a modern term, I think. I don't know.
That attitude, that belief that you as a teacher, if I'm sitting in front of you, that you have something I need and I want, that I've got to have, I'm respectful of it and I need to listen for it. I need to listen to it. Now, many times in elementary school, not so much, but in the high school and so on, kids will be sitting in classes thinking, there's nothing here that I want, but they've got to take the class. Okay. They have to take the class. And so instead of fighting it, they should be looking for opportunities where they are learning, like, hey, geez, I didn't really think about that. I learned something today. Even if it was one thing, it's okay. I've got to get through this class. This is the teacher. Instead of fighting it and go with it, move with it, change your attitude. Because learning and life is all about attitude completely. It's about attitude. In fact, I don't know if you know Charles Swindoll. Do you know Charles Swindoll? He's a Christian.
No.
He's a Christian writer, and he has written well over 250 books. And he actually is in front of every one of our books for parenting. I have this little quote. It says, "The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It's more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say I do. It is more important than appearance or giftedness or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that's our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 10% of what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes." That
Yes,
kind of that sums it up. What do you think of that? What do you think of that quote?
I agree 100%. I would even say it's more. It is like
Go ahead.
99% attitude and 1% like, let's say, conscious strategies we implement or we copy other people. It doesn't serve us, right? It is the attitude, the open-mindedness. Yes. And the
Exactly.
respect.
And the title of your podcast is called Inspired. Okay. It
Choice.
is a wonderful feeling for your listeners right now should be listening to this and to realize you have control over your attitude. You can, whatever happens to you in life, you have control over that attitude. Whether you're going to react and stay mad and angry and upset and defiant, or if you're going to say, how can I work with this? What is this that God is giving me right now? This situation that I'm in, that I can, that He's trying to teach something to me, that He's trying to show me where I should go and what I should do with this. How can I make a lemon situation lemonade? How can I make it a good thing? And how can I get above it? Now that's inspiring. Okay. I'm not telling you
Yes.
that's me, okay, all the time. It's not me all the time, but that's what I'm striving for. That's what I'm working for.
Yes, absolutely. And it is the attitude and what we think about, what we see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. Of course, the five senses all combined together. Thank you so much for our interview. Can you tell us where can we find you when people want to reach out to you after listening to this episode?
Well, thank you for asking that. We have a website and it's pretty easy to find. It's just www.mjchanacapublishing.com. That's MJCHANACA PUBLISHING.com. And on that website, it tells our story, it shows our books, and it brings you to various situations. If you're interested in being involved in those books and this mission, you can purchase them right through that website. Thank you, Caroline, for asking that.
Oh, I love it. Please reach out to Dr. John. He's amazing. He shares his wisdom and knowledge. And I love what you said. So I learned so much, and I will re-listen to this episode again, of course. Thank you for our interview. And now is time for your final thoughts to the audience, please.
Well, I just would like them to embrace the power that they have by making good choices, okay? Especially parents. Parenting is such an important thing, and parents, because they're so busy, so involved, so many things are flying at them, they need to realize that their children are their legacy, okay? That's important. And if you want to change for any reason in your life, things and habits, you can do it through your children. What I mean by that is God gives us 3 times to grow up. Once when you are a child and you can see what is right and wrong, and sometimes your parents don't teach you right and wrong, but that's the first time. The second time is through your children. As you watch them, they're watching you, and you can change your life to improve their life. And the third time, if you make it, is as a grandparent, watching your grandchildren and seeing how your children have grown up and now they're parents. So take advantage of any one of those 3 times and realize you have the choice, the power to give a positive attitude and to make changes in this world.
That's so great. As final thoughts to the audience, thank you so much. I received your message. I'm inspired now. Thank you. Thank you for our interview.
Appreciate you, Caroline. I love your smile, by the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is the best I heard today, and I see you in the next episode.